So, what are the 3 reasons you're not making progress to your goals? For a while, I've been thinking about this question because back in 2024, I have like this massive goal to memorize the Quran in just a few days, and about 52 days, I was supposed to memorize the Quran. I had about 4 juz supposed to complete the rest of the juz in those 52 days, and I neglected everything and just stopped everything. I wanted to do this Quran. Every single one was telling me, "Nah, I should not do this Quran. I should try. I should do something else." Some people were telling me like extend the timeline, and there was a habit he was telling me to extend the timeline to 3, 4, 5 years. I was like, "Nah, I'm gonna do it now." You're not as ambitious as I am, and so I wanted to prove them wrong. So I sat down some days, literally, like especially in certain hood, I would sit down, I would try to memorize, but it's just that I'm trying to memorize and the past pages is gone. I would try to revise. I would be walking around. Some days, literally, I would sit down for about an hour memorizing. The moment I stand up, for some reason the page was gone. And also like I was just doing things, I was doing so many things like at the same time, like doing all these things. Even though I neglected everything, I was like watching content. I think I was watching like Asima like him, watching content. I was having so many things. I was also doing so many muraja. I wanted to do so many muraja. I wanted to do so much health. I wanted to do so many things, and I neglected everything else. And at the end of the story, I failed. I think about I didn't have half of the Quran, but I failed because half of the Quran was gone, so it was very weak. And from this story, I've already mentioned the 3 reasons. You probably didn't know, but I mentioned the 3 reasons. The first one is the intention. The second one is that you probably have too many goals. And the third is the systems. Let me just explain it one after the other. The first one is the intention. As you realize from the story, I told you that my intention was to impress my friends and prove them wrong that I am able to do the things that they are not able to do. And there's also a video I recorded today. I will be posted I think before this video. It's about goals. I would highly recommend to watch that video. It's a very good video. I can't believe I'm sitting down talking about 30 minutes talking about this goal setting and everything. So you need your intention. And in that video I mentioned about intention. Your intention is supposed to be for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I want this question to be in your mind because it was in my mind for a while. How is it non-Muslims are able to achieve so many things that why we Muslims are not able to achieve as much? And I was just thinking like, how is it like that? Okay? So many things. Like, it just doesn't make sense because we as Muslims, we are having like this dua, we have this salah, we have Qur'an, we have so many things, but the non-Muslims don't have that. But how is it that they are making more progress than us? And there is just one limiting belief that always comes to my mind. Qadr. In the Islamic culture, I'm a Muslim, don't get me wrong. Try to understand my message, brother. In the Islamic culture, people talk about if this goal is not decreed for you, no matter how much, you will not achieve that goal. And if a goal is decreed for you, it will reach you. Like scholars like Ibn Qayyim, they mentioned about all these things, and I used to see these things like how like non-Muslims, Muslims, why? And it drilled me for a while. And from my own experience, I would say, I'm not disregarding them. It's just that how would you know that a goal is not decreed for you if you just sit down and say like, I tried so many times and I failed, maybe it's not decreed for you. Okay, let's take the example of Thomas Edison, for example. They said he was able to create a light bulb. There's so many controversies, but I think they say it's 1,000 days or 300 days, 100 days, whatever. Let's take 1,000 days. If, for example, he failed at this thing for 1,000 days before he was able to create it, imagine if he failed, for example, the 100th time and just gave up, learning that Allah did not decree this thing. How would you know? There's this part of our brain just telling us like, nah, this is not decreed for you, or like find something else to pursue, or this is just giving lies. I'm telling you. That's okay, fine, this is a non-Muslim, fine. But we Muslims, like look at Nuh alayhi salam. Prophet Nuh, 950 years. Imagine if he just gave up. You're gonna go, he's the prophet, he had this wahi, and all these things. How would you know that something is not decreed for you? You have no means of knowing that. And that is why I was able to think of, okay, I was doing one day, And I thought, okay, how is it that I wanted to fix this kind of problem? And what I realized was that the only way you realize something is not decreed for you is when you don't achieve that thing. And the only way you know that this thing is decreed for you is by you achieve it. By sorry, I was able. One day I was writing in the journal. It was a how would I know that this thing is not decreed for me, and how would I know it's decreed for me? If something is decreed for you, the only way you will notice is when you achieve it. That's the only way. If you do not achieve it, you don't have this guts to say that you don't. You probably this is not for me. I'm not the type of person. Shut up. Because I was having some of my students. I think it was even my student was it I heard online. People talking about how would I know that I'm the type of person who memorizes Quran? Or what if I'm not the type of person that memorizes Quran? Shut up. What is how disgusting is this question? Think about it. So like some people saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala picks the type of person that will do the Quran, like nah, this is, I might not be among them. How will you know? If you achieve it, that's the only way you know, okay, oh wow, I'm decreed. I'm the type of okay, alhamdulillah, Allah achieved Allah made me to do this thing. And also when you fail, it's very important when you fail, that doesn't really tell you that you're not it's not decreed for you because sometimes when you fail, you give up, you come back. When you find yourself just coming back, that is a great sign to understand. Okay, it's probably decreed for you. But the only way you realize okay, it's not decreed for you is when you give up and complete and leave that thing completely, not coming back. That's the only way you say, okay, it's not decreed for me. But that you have no other means of saying that, and this part of your brain will be telling you, you tried so many times, and people like doing istikhara. I think some people were saying like, if you do istikhara and you failed, and that means it's not decreed for you. Istikhara is different, and also like I saw, but I'm not trying to argue that some people might get offended about this, but like the Prophet ﷺ, he was struggling in this like boycotts for 3 years. Okay, will you tell him that he did not do istikhara? Or will you tell him like I'm not saying he did istikhara, don't get me wrong, but are you telling me like none of them knew about istikhara? Just do istikhara, it will be easy for you to be achieved. No. Allah will test you. Sometimes you made istikhara the first time, you will not get that thing you want. Maybe it's university, maybe it's a new car, whatever. You will not get that thing the first time you did it, and maybe you did it on the second time, you would get it. Sometimes a third time, 100 times. The amount of failure you get, that doesn't mean you would fail out this thing. Okay? Try to understand. And this limiting belief, we had this limiting belief for a while that because something is we fail something and doesn't mean it's not decreed for us, and then we just leave it up. This intention is very, very. We need to have this intention because the non-Muslims I mentioned, it's not all the non-Muslims. Those non-Muslims that I mentioned that were able to achieve extreme feats is because they were able to forget about all this and have this never give up mentality. And while being Muslim, you have to break that as well. Okay? Imagine if, for example, there's a war, you have to go. And imagine if I just say, there's a war, so I'm not gonna go, or maybe, what if we die? Or what if? And there's a very funny analogy that came just now in my mind. Like, imagine, for example, a war arises, and for example, I am the leader in the war. I gathered about 1,000 people, and I was like standing in front of the place saying that, what if Allah did not decree for us to win? Out of the 1,900 will run away because this is a demotivating statement to say. Okay, what if Allah did not decree for us to win, and then that means we'll fail? You will not be able to know that. So have the intention for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's how you win. And also break all the limiting beliefs. You can achieve this thing. You can do it. Just you can. By the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second reason, you have too many goals. Like I said, I was also doing my hifz, I was doing the muraja, I was doing tadrib, I was reciting tahajjud, I was doing so many things I was doing. Not that one thing. And there's this concept of like 80-20 rule. Okay? It might not specifically be many goals. At that time I was having the only goal was Qur'an, but it's just that I was not understand the concept of 80-20 rule. 80-20, there's this Pareto principle. It says that 20% of the efforts yield 80% of the results, and 80% of the efforts yield 20% of the results. You're supposed to focus on the 20%. That's how it's supposed to be. Ignore everything else. What is the 20%? Think about, okay, there's this question I like in this book, 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. He said that if you were only allowed to work 2 hours a week, and ask yourself, even if, for example, your goal is Quran, your goal, whatever goals you have, Ask yourself, okay, if you had just 2 hours a week, not a day, a week, how would you do that? Let's frame the Quran goal, for example. I will not say I'll be doing tadrib. I will not say I'll be doing that. I'll be researching the best way to memorize Quran. I will remove that. The thing I would be doing, okay, memorize, revise. Maybe do in Salah, whatever. Memorize, revise. That's the big things you need to do. Just that we forget about all these big things because we're having so many things in our lives. So you're having so many things. Just get rid of most of the things. I'm telling you, just get rid of that. Ask yourself, okay, if I have 2 hours a week, how will I be able to do that? You will see, your brain will understand, okay, wow, okay, this is the thing I need to do. Okay, fine, focus on these things. And then the third reason from the story I mentioned about systems, indirectly I said I neglected everything else. Neglect everything else and focus on the Quran. And that's what the advice people talk about in like, forget about everything. Don't even spend time with your family. Like, work on this project, work on this thing. And there's this quote was saying that focus on yourself until they focus on you. People like, yeah, motivational quote, yeah. Focus on yourself. Yes, it is true, but don't neglect everything else. You are a Muslim, probably. You are a Muslim. You have to focus on this thing you have in your life. Focus on it. Focus, but don't neglect the rest of the things. And let's just say, okay, deen. There's the Islam. Islam is made up of three things. There's ibadah, aqidah, and also akhlaq. These three things. And people just, for example, like I focus on only the ibadah, I abandon the aqidah and also the akhlaq. I stopped spending time with my family. And from the story, I forgot to mention is that there was a day my mom was severely sick. And she was like constantly vomiting. Like she was having like this extreme fever. And I was supposed to take care of her. I was sitting at home, nobody was at home. And I had the goal of memorizing the Quran that day. And I was just getting pissed off, like, and okay, she was sleeping that day. Okay, she was able to like just be able to be sleeping. She was like very sick. The moment to her neck is very, very hot. And I was like, I have to do this Quran. I made a big mistake. I left my mom at home. No one is at home. She was sleeping and she was sick. Imagine if something happened. And I went to the masjid. I sat down literally in the masjid, the floor masjid. I hold my mushaf. I was not able to like read a single line. My mind was just constantly thinking about my mom. What if she died? What if this? What if this? What if that? What if this? What if that? And I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I left everything, packed everything, and hurry up. And I went back and I saw my mom. She just woke up. She just woke up and she was just sitting down. I neglected everything. And in fact, some days I'll be watching videos. I'm not even working. I'll be watching videos. My friend will call and I will see the call and I'll just swipe it up. Just continue watching the video. Because I was thinking like all these things is unproductive. That is the problem when you have like this one goal that you're pursuing. So don't neglect all the things. Keep all these things with you. And I'll give you an actionable step. I will not say it's somehow biased because I will say you watch my video on goal setting. Because you probably said that if you try all these things and it's not working, then you probably set the goals the wrong way. So I would highly recommend you watch the video, and in the video I mentioned like 5 steps, detailed steps on how to achieve it. Because about 30-minute video, you can watch it at your own convenient time. Other than that, I would like to end with humble quotes. Too much attention makes a donkey think he's a lion. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.